Hello, everybody. This is AG here, and welcome to the Lime Rock Park in Lakeville, Connecticut, as we are here for the 6th race of the season in the 2023 Haas IndyCar Series. This is the Grand Prix of Lime Rock, 34 laps of action around this 1.53-mile road course in northwestern Connecticut. And it's going to be an interesting race here today. Of course, this is a staple race to the Haas IndyCar Series schedule. We changed a little bit in the I&I, so we may see a little bit of a different race, but all in all, it's a difficult place to make a pass, and the cycle of pit stop will determine who gets the race victory, as it usually does. Joined alongside two new drivers, or two new co-commentators for this year, at least. Of course, we've done many races with them before. We got Stuart Gratton alongside with Matt Tuck as well. Micah couldn't make it tonight, unfortunately, but great to have you guys in the booth. And Matt, you haven't called a race in quite some time, and I know you haven't kept too much of an eye on the Haas IndyCar Series as of late, but a lot of strong drivers starting up front in this race. Do you see anyone outside the front row going to victory lane here in this one?
It has been quite a long time, but no, not. I mean, it'll be an interesting race. Obviously, we'll see how the strategy games play out, but whether it's been open wheel cars or full body stock cars, the front row really is where you have to be in order to have a shot to win this race. So I think if you're Christian Master or if you're Brad Stover, you're definitely sitting pretty here as this race is. We're getting ready to start this race.
And Stuart, of course, you have a team in this series with Nicholas Amadio and Justin Zaidel, but they kind of start midway through the field here today. So what do they need to do to work themselves up to the front and have an opportunity at the race victory?
They got to make sure you get the right strategy, and that'll just find that out throughout the race, whether it's an undercut or like an overcut coming in earlier or later. But to work your way to the front, obviously, that seems like the best way to go because it is hard to pass here at Lime Rock. So, certainly not impossible to work their way forward, but it's going to be a long, long afternoon.
It definitely will be, but the thing is, we did adjust the tire wear on this track a little bit, so there's a little bit more tire wear at the end of the run, so if you do pull the undercut, you might get more of an advantage than you have in the past, so that's definitely going to be something very interesting to see as this race plays out. That fuel window is going to be right around 20 laps, so that's when they'll come down just a little bit past halfway, and then they'll run the last 13 or so laps. Going for the race victory without a need for a pit stop, and that's where the race kind of really does start here at Lime Rock Park. In the point standings, of course, your driver there, Stuart, Justin Zaidel, holds on to the points lead, a 6-point lead on Trey Smith. Of course, Trey Smith won the last race that we had at Richmond. Luna Lona, 15 points behind there in third. Chris Reynolds, Trey Smith's teammate, is 16 points behind, and Aaron Abel, 19 points behind. Not much of a gap between all of those drivers in the standings right now, and with there not being any ratings here in the Haas IndyCar Series, these guys do stay a little bit closer to each other. But then again, we're only 5 races into the season, and I think once we get midway through the season around the Indianapolis 250, we may see some drivers really start to pull away in this championship. Maybe you want to keep an eye on Trey Smith for that. We'll go ahead and get these guys to roll off here from the Lime Rock Park. We saw qualifying last night. Christian Master had the fastest time in the Fast 6 shootout. And he's definitely in need of a good run. 22nd in the points coming into this race. He's alongside Brad Stover, has done an excellent job this season, has had a couple of good runs so far in his first IndyCar Series campaign. He's on the outside pole, and those two guys may have the best shot at getting the race victory here today. We got Jay Knapp and Trey Smith there in row number 2. Jay Knapp going for his first career Haas IndyCar Series race victory, and Trey Smith going for his 5th career IndyCar Series win, and looking to go back-to-back as well. He's got a great opportunity there starting in 4th. We got Logan Williams, Luna Lona in row number 3. 81 of Zachary Fitzwater, who led 20 laps here last year, but had an issue on the pit lane, lost the race to Angel Olvera. And we got Aaron Abel alongside him there, with Ace Garcia and Eric Drew rounding up the top 10 starting positions. Everyone's rolling off all right. Matt and then Stuart. Who do you guys think is going to go to victory lane here in the Grand Prix of Lime Rock?
Well, not to be biased, but I'm going to pick somebody from the front row who happens to drive for me in another series, and I'm going to pick Brad Stover, and I believe Brad is going to get a victory here today.
I'll take the other car on the front row. I'll take Christian Master from the pole, the inside lane straight off the bat, and then matter of just holding on from there. I think he's in a good position to take his first win of the year.
I'm going to just go ahead and go with the field just to make it interesting, because I think that's a good even split. We'll have to see how the cycle of pit stops ends up shaking out, because that'll be the determining factor. But we may see a couple of passes as this race goes along, but it's such a narrow groove racetrack that these guys do have little difficulty getting runs around this racetrack. And once we get this race figured out after the first couple of laps, be a single file run until that cycle of pit stops, and then the race is on from there. Also, I want to keep in mind we may see a little attrition today. We've seen issues before in this race in the past, especially turn number 1. Those guys tend to overshoot. Did not see it at all last year, but it is possible we could see it here this year, and that could definitely get interesting if that ends up being the case. Christian Master won the pole yesterday. Got a bonus point towards the championship for that, and he's looking to rebound his season here in the Haas IndyCar Series. He's going to lead us off to the green flag. The pace cars down the pit lane. All 26 drivers are rolling off, and it's a wonderful spring evening here in New England. We're going to go ahead and get the green flag underway here at the Lime Rock Park. The 6th race of the season in the Haas IndyCar Series is underway. Let's get this started here in Connecticut. Good jump there for Christian Master on the start. Brad Stover files in the second, and they're side-by-side for third still between Jay Knapp and Trey Smith. And Knapp's going to have the advantage on the inside, take that position away. Logan Williams to get around Luna Lona, but the fast 6 guys remain in the top 6 positions as we complete lap number 1 here at Lime Rock Park. Christian Master with a bonus point there for leading that lap. Make sure everyone got through that lap all right, and they are still shuffling back in here. You got to be careful there. One thing we did adjust in the INI, and if you understand NR INIs well enough, we closed in the drafting distance a little bit. So these guys are going to be racing a little bit closer to each other. We're trying to get them closer to each other to a point where they can make a pass if they are faster than the guy ahead of them. So you might see these guys run a little close to each other here today, but looks like those top 6 guys got through it pretty cleanly here at the start of the race.
And importantly for these top 2 leaders, they're just on running their hot laps right now, trying to use up these tires early on here in the stage to build themselves a gap. I said stage, that's so bad. Building themselves a gap here. We don't, thank the good Lord. But, you know, run out here in the clean air, build yourself a gap, because we've seen at other tracks like this too. This Lime Rock, another track, for example, Willow Springs, you know, building yourself that early gap can come in huge, especially when the pit stop cycle begins.
Brad Stover may not let Christian Master get an early gap here. Good run there off the exit of turn 3. Trying to get that advantage, but this is the point where it's just so hard to make a pass. But Stover might try it here. He closed in quite a bit right there, and we'll have to see if he can find a mistake on that 55 and get around him, but lost a little bit of ground right there. Jay Knapp holding on, and then Trey Smith, Logan Williams, and Luna Luna, they're all in their respective positions right there, but they are staying relatively close to each other here as we complete lap 3.
And the 55 made a little mistake there, and that's how the 49 closed in. They were just unable to find that spot. It is very hard to pass, as you mentioned. Got to make sure cannot make those kind of mistakes, even at any point in this race. But the benefit for the 55, obviously, clean air out in front, will do it a lot of good.
Just holding on to the race lead right now, and kind of just settling in those 2 respective positions. Trey Smith kind of close here on Jay Knapp, and we know Trey Smith is fast, and who can forget the 2020 edition of this race when Chase Harris closed in on his teammate and made a last lap pass on Marty Johnson to get his first career win. And like I said in qualifying, little did we know the level that this team would end up going to in this series, and I kind of hate it that my own team is the best team in this series, but they're not leading right now, so I'm feeling all right about that. Hey, I want Trey Smith and Chris Reynolds to do well for their sake, but now I know why I took my own team out of the series all the way back in the day. Everyone's single file now, but everyone's still on the racetrack, from Avery Alford all the way to the race leader Christian Master. It's battling here, Landon Smith Jr. and Christian Vargas, and we may get a side-by-side battle right here between Roy Ribbleton and Thomas Troxel. We don't see too many side-by-side battles here at Lime Rock. Ribbleton may be able to get this position on the 42. We'll have to see if he can do so, and we'll have to see if that translates to something later on in the race.
This is definitely the time to do it, though, is situate yourself for when you know later in the race you can gain a few extra seconds, 10 seconds, however it may fall during the pit cycle. And it will be interesting to see here too, because with a little bit more tire fall off, you know, we've seen in other series and even at other locations that can cause guys to slide around, eat up more of the racetrack. And we're seeing some of that early here too, coming onto this backstretch. You're seeing guys not hold that apex, slide up just a little bit. Not everybody's hitting the same line, exiting out, but it's still, I mean, up front though for these two, they're just building themselves a big old gap here early.
They got 2 seconds now on J Knapp there in second. Trey Smith kind of under fire from Logan Williams, but once we get to this point of the race and the tires start to wear out, these guys do not gain an advantage on each other, and they mainly just kind of stay in the single file line until the pit stops. Now, this is where things are going to get a little interesting because the undercut is going to have much more of an effect this year than it has in years past in this race, and we may see our leaders stay out an extra lap. It's going to be interesting to see if any of these guys behind the race leaders takes an undercut. It's a great opportunity for J Knapp or Trey Smith to possibly make that work to their advantage, and it could definitely get interesting once we get to that cycle. It's a little bit past halfway, around lap 19, lap 20 is when we'll start to see some of these guys come down. And in the meantime, like you said, Matt, everyone just kind of getting their feel for the car and figuring this race out right now, and then that cycle of pit stop will definitely open up the floodgates on how this race will eventually play out. I would like to mention Angel Olvera, even though he's not top 10, he's only won twice in the Haas IndyCar Series, and has been this race twice in the past. I believe he won this in 2019 and then won it again last year in 2022. Currently running in the 12th position behind the ride he won this race with last year. He's currently driven by John Stewart, but he's midway through the field right now. A little bit difficult to work your way from that position onto the front here at Lime Rock Park. Zachary Fitzwater was a driver who dominated this race last year before he had an issue on the pit lane. He's currently 7th, and this is by far the best finish of the season, or the best run he's had this season. Currently last in points, 94 behind our points leader Justin Zeidel. And he's not worked a top 10 yet this season either, but he's got one going for him right now. Hopefully he does not have any pit road issues here today. Master about a second lead now on Brad Stover, and Trey Smith kind of back there on the gearbox of J Knapp. Everyone's kind of still in their respective positions here. Luna Lona pressuring Logan Williams. This could be something if Williams overshoots. Lona's not going to quite have an opportunity to move to the inside.
Not yet anyway. All over the back of that 38. Trying to find that area to make the move, but unable to do so. It drops back just a little bit. For Brad Stover in second there, he's got to try and hold on to this 55. Otherwise, when the pit stops come around, try and make an undercut potentially, jump the 55. You just got to stick with him if you can, and just see how it goes, because otherwise he's going to be too far away for the undercut to work.
It's going to be interesting to see if Brad Stover does try to pull an undercut here on Christian Master. Meanwhile, Trey Smith's kind of all over the gearbox at J Knapp right here. And Trey Smith put on a very good race there at Richmond. Started on the pole, fell back, but then after the cycle of pit stops, that car came to life, got around Thomas Troxel, and took his first win of the season. Of course, the defending Indianapolis 250 champion, and hey, we're all excited for that one. Just about a month's time, we'll be rolling qualifications for the Indy 250. I know, Stuart, you got an extra car for that race. A lot of these other teams have extra cars for the Indianapolis 250, and we're excited. And if you're not part of this series, and Matt, you're definitely one of these guys who may qualify for that, we will have signups for the Indianapolis 250 and those Indy 250 only rides for the drivers on YouTube near the early part of May. So definitely excited to see some of you guys join that race. It's the biggest race we do every single year here on the channel. And we're excited for the end of May, Memorial Day weekend. Always a great race, and always a great weekend for racing, not only on the channel, but in real life as well. Christian Master putting on a great race for his team. Dracoan Racing Enterprises and Owen Miles doing an excellent job here today. And they've done an excellent job over in the Wall Cup Series, but they've yet to really show any strength this season in the Haas IndyCar Series. Christian Masters led every lap so far, and that qualifying effort that he had yesterday, putting him in this position.
Yeah, that 55 is just staying planted to the racetrack, but same for him and Brad Stover are just in another hemisphere right now. Absolutely dog-walking the 98 of J Knapp and Trey Smith, who have still been putting up a fight with themselves, and they've built themselves a little bit of a cushion from Logan Williams, just a little bit, but the pace of these top two, and as always at this racetrack here at Lime Rock Park, clean air is just something that cannot be underestimated, and especially as you get later into the run, this is where you see that that hustle that these two put in early at the start of the race really comes into payoff now, because it just essentially eliminates most of the rest of the field from having a shot at winning this race.
Well, Brad Stover really closed in on Christian Master. It was about a second lead for Master a couple laps ago. Now it's 0.3 of a second. And one mistake at a Master, and Brad Stover could be striking for the race lead here. It's definitely going to be interesting to see if Stover can get around him on the racetrack. We've seen a pass for the race lead here before, and like I said, that 2020 race, I'm still flabbergasted from that. Even though that was almost 3 years ago when that happened, but we'll just have to see. Brad Stover kind of hanging right here with Christian Master, and he may have a faster car, which means if he can jump Master on that cycle of pit stops, he could easily go to victory lane here and get his first career Haas IndyCar Series race victory. I'm telling you, that 49 is right there on the gearbox. We'll have to see if he can make it done here.
Yeah, he might have backed off a little bit, because as you said, the gap was a second. He's just chipped away. So he might have backed off a little bit, maybe let the tyres cool down a bit, and get himself back into contention with this 55. That might have been the play there from Stover. We'll see if that pays off. But well and truly back in this race, and they are, as been mentioned before, they have just dropped the field. They are long gone.
They got 3.5 seconds there on Jay Knapp. Trey Smith there. Aaron Abel with a good run. Now, Aaron Abel actually came into one of those races. I think it was after... I don't think it was after Coda. He was second in the points after Coda. And he's had a great season there for NS Racing. 19 points behind, and he's got another good run, top 10 run here at Lime Rock Park. We'll have to see if he can hold on to it here. He's right behind Zachary Fitzwater, Ace Garcia, and Eric Drew round out the top 10. Eric Drew was one of those guys who actually was leading at Circuit of the Americas about a month ago and could not hold on to that race lead ahead of Cole Raymond. And John Andrews, different John. I actually think I made a mistake last time out when we did the qualifying results from Coda. I put John Andrews on the 25 as well as the 21. So I get those guys confused. Josh, you should have just signed up as Josh Williamson. I know it was great to bring back John Stewart and all that, but I'm getting these guys confused now. Everyone has similar names. There's your cars, Stewart, with Zidell and Samadillo, and they're kind of midway through the field here. And the way things are running, it does seem like Trey Smith would take the points lead ahead of Zidell, heading into the next race at Kansas. I think that's 2 weeks from now. But I don't know. These guys could pull off some strategy here. If they undercut here in a few laps, they could definitely find themselves in the top 10 and maybe cushion that gap a little bit in the point standings.
Yeah, it's been a great run, obviously, for the 79. For Justin, it's been, kind of stuck in the mid-pack, but that's what you expect here at Lime Rock. I think Nicholas has actually done a good job to move up a couple of spots, but again, also mired in the mid-pack. So, that's just the way it is here at Lime Rock. But, a bit of work for the 23 to do if he wants to hold the lead. It's, I think, the
Little dust there?
There may have been something. Someone may have gone off there, but it can go off a little bit here and usually not wreck the car. And to your point, Stuart, the 5 of San Mateo's actually moved up 4 positions, and that probably happened at the start of the race when they were all bunched up in the back there. So definitely interesting to see what they can do on the cycle, but it's definitely getting interesting. J-Nap holding off Trey Smith, but Trey Smith may get an opportunity here on the cycle, and we're now halfway. We'll be halfway when Christian Master crosses the line right here. And in just a couple of laps, we'll have the cycle of pit stops to get this race underway. And then those guys are really going to go after it here for the race win. Trey Smith's going after it with Jay Knapp. He's still right there on the gearbox, but just hasn't been able to find a hold of the inside. It's just so hard to find any bit of passing lane here at Lime Rock Park, a very one-lane racetrack, but we've seen some crazy things happen here before, and it's possible that could end up happening. But Christian Master still holding on to this race lead. Brad Stover, though, hanging right with him, and this 49 may have an opportunity at getting this team their first ever win in the Haas IndyCar Series.
Brad Stover's he's hanging, my pick to win. He's hanging around there, and he's done exactly what he's needed to do. Just stay in the tire tracks of Christian Master, who's really, these two, like we've said, have just been controlling this race, and it's just been interesting to watch it as the way this race has unfolded here, and it's going to help Master. It'll help both Master and Stover in the points, but if you take a look here in the points, as I really shouldn't be trying to read and commentate, but it'll be a good points day for both of these two, and It's just going to be interesting to see how this unfolds here in the next couple of laps, because pit stops should be starting soon.
We'll probably see a couple guys peek down next time by here. We'll see if Master tries the undercut here to hold on to his race lead. Another thing, too, Zachary Fitzwater dominated the first part of this race last year, led 20 laps, but had a problem on the pit lane. And these guys have to make sure they don't mess that all up on the pit lane, or otherwise they're going to lose a lot of their time. Master's going to stay out here. Oh, here we go. Stover's going to try the undercut. Jay Knapp stays out. Trey Smith stays out. Luna Lone is going to come down. We also have Ace Garcia and a lot of guys from the back of the field here also coming down. Your guy there, Stewart, Nicholas Samadillo. This could get interesting with Brad Stover. He was second at the time when he came down the pit lane, and he could easily jump this 55 because the tire is definitely coming into effect right now. But we're going to follow with this 49. Make sure he has a clean pit stop, because that's another thing that we can have here. It'll be 4 tires, and of course the one thing about this game, there is an option for 2 tires for these guys, even for the IndyCar guys, and I know in real life that's not really the case. But a nice clean stop and 4 tires for Brad Stover, so that's going to be good for him. We'll have to see if he gains an advantage here as he comes back out onto the racetrack. Meanwhile, Christian Master going to come down here. Now the good thing for Master is he's going to have a pretty clean pit lane. Same with Jay Knapp and a lot of these guys, because a lot of the guys in the back of the field came down the lap before. So we'll have to see where Master ends up falling in place in relation to Brad Stover after all this. We'll see if Jay Knapp or Trey Smith gain an advantage here. Or Logan Williams. Actually, it looks like Logan Williams may have jumped Trey Smith coming down the pit lane right there. That was interesting. Could be a 2-tire stop as well for these guys, but nope, they're going to go 4 there. Will anybody behind them go 2? It looks like everyone's going to go 4 tires right here. Master's going to come off the pit lane. Where's this 49 of Brad Stover? Here he is, and this could get a little dicey right here. Brad Stover's got the advantage on the outside, and they're going to be side by side for the race lead on lap 21. And Brad Stover looking to get those warm tires to work to his advantage, but Master's going to have the inside lane right here, and they're still side by side for the race lead.
This is going to be a huge moment here for Stover as he heads down the back straightaway through the dog leg, and he's going to get it there. What a brilliant undercut there by that 49 team.
Great jump there for the 49 of Brad Stover. And he's to the race lead as we had an accident. Chris Reynolds again with a last place finish. He won at Riverside and Willow Springs to open up the season. And it looks like he might have gotten into it with Angel Olvera. You'll see that at the corner of your screen. So we've had our first issue of the day. Trey Smith. Not sure what happened to those guys. They had a slow stop. He's now down to the 8th position. So off the pit lane, it's Stover and then Master, Jay Knapp, and Luna Lona. Lona's going to try here, and she will get a nose to the inside of the 98. It's hard to keep it side by side. If she can keep the nose here, she might be able to get it. Not going to quite do so as that outside lane prevails for Jay Knapp. Then Logan Williams, Ace Garcia, Eric Drew, Trey Smith, Aaron Abel, and John Stewart. The top 10 after the cycle. But we had a switch there on the cycle. That undercut came into effect, but we're still far from over. As this run goes along, Christian Master will have the slightly better tires, and Brad Stover very wide in turn 1 right there. He's got to be careful not to make a mistake and allow Master to get around him.
Yeah, perfect pit stop, perfect. That's the way they wanted to get that working down there at the 49 with Brad Stover. That's exactly what they wanted to do. Stay within the arm's distance of Christian Master and then undercut. It was a perfect. It was a great decision. It was the right decision, and they've got the lead as a result. And just quickly on Luna Lona as well in 4th. We talked about.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go, right on cue. Going to the inside here of the 98. We'll see if she can get it done.
She's got it. Jay Knapp might try to cross back over.
I don't think he'll be able to into turn 1, but Luna Lona as well. She obviously went down with Brad Stover, now up into 3rd place, so that's worked out well for her. But she comes into this race 3rd in the points. We talked about Trey Smith and Zidell, up at the top, but she comes into this race 3rd in the points and could, I don't know if she'd jump the 79 in the points, but certainly.
She definitely would. Yeah, the way they're currently running, Luna Lona would be the new points leader, no doubt about it. Just got to be careful not to get involved in an accident. And we obviously have seen one occur already in this race between Olvera and Chris Reynolds. So got to be careful not to let that happen again. And here we go. I think Master's starting to wind back up here. And we obviously saw Luna Lona make the pass there on J Knapp. And she is clearly faster. We'll have to see if Master is clearly faster than the 49 of Brad Stover. This could get very interesting because this race is far from over. 10 laps to go. Master definitely wants to get this race victory, but so does Brad Stover. And these are two guys who have been around. They've been racing for a long time on the channel. Stover's new to IndyCar. This is Christian Master's 7th full-time season in the Haas IndyCar Series. So even though they both have a lot of experience, one has a lot more open-wheel experience compared to the other, and this could get very interesting as Master is clearly closing in on this 49.
Yeah, Master's sitting there in the draft, and I mean, we saw Master pull out a little bit from Brad Stover early on in this race, and he didn't end up on the pole position for a reason, so it's going to be interesting. We know Stover's got a lap extra wear on his tires, and he definitely pushed the absolute heck out of that car on his outlap. So it's going to be interesting. This could be a very dicey little end of the race here, and these two are definitely going to treat us to a finish.
No doubt about it. We'll have to see. Maybe the tire wear does even out a little bit. Master losing a little bit of ground right there. He's pushing it a little hard himself right there, but still have 9 laps to go, and it'll be 8 to go next time by. Luna Lona's clearly in the 3rd position, and J Knapp now in 4th. Logan Williams 5th. I haven't really talked about Logan Williams too much in this race, but solid run for him here. Running in the 5th position there for American Motorsports. You got Ace Garcia, Eric Drew there. Still the same top 10. Fitzwater fell back there. That was a tough run for him. And down to the 12th position. He didn't completely have a horrendous pit stop. It looks like he'll still get a top half of the field run, other than finishing, unlike finishing outside the top 20 like he did last year, but definitely not what they wanted after they were running in the 7th position there. And Noah Clifton's moved up to the field very well. He's now 13th. Sam Medeo up another position. Same with Justin Zaidel. And they kind of more towards the back of the field there. You got Avery Alford and Bradley Bradshaw kind of hanging towards the back. And, of course, out of the race, Angel Olvera and Chris Reynolds. And I'm telling you, this is going to get good here. Christian Master closing in here on Brad Stover. And I feel like that 55's got a slightly faster car, but it's just that difficult to make a pass, and we'll have to see if that plays in Stover's advantage.
One thing that Master cannot afford to do is make mistakes. We've seen a couple times where he's run a little bit wide, particularly coming onto the backstretch. He cannot afford to do that. Needs to just drive it as clean as he possibly can, and just try and force the 49 into a mistake, and that's the way he's going to be able to get past. But it just can't afford to make those mistakes.
Still right on each other here, and Stover able to hold on to it for now, but I'm feeling like Master's going to have a shot here. And J Knapp's closed back in on the gearbox of Luna Lona. I'm wondering if this car may be a little bit better on the long run. It's going to go a little wide right there. But I'll never forget that 2020 race. You know, that gave me hope that we can always have a pass for the race lead here at Lime Rock Park, and we could be shaping up for one of those here today, because Master has been able to keep right on this 49. Both of these cars have essentially been just as good as the other this entire race. Stover pulled the undercut, grabbed the race lead, but Master might be able to have a shot at getting around him, but it's going to be difficult to do so. But if he can pull this one off, it's going to be a hard-earned win for Christian Master from the pole. It's going to be interesting to see if he can, in fact, do it. He'll get an extra bonus point towards the championship for leading the most laps, but he wants to get the most important lap led. He's got to get around Brad Stover, who I know is hungry for a Haas IndyCar Series race victory here tonight.
He's absolutely flying here. And he doesn't have a whole lot of laps to go, but I mean, this is the do or die here. And while you said to Stewart's point that Christian Master can't afford to make any mistakes, this 49 of Brad Stover cannot afford to make any mistakes either. One tire out of the groove, dip off into the dirt, and that is going to be a open door set sailing for Christian Master.
Oh boy! Stover went wide there, just as you were saying, Matt, and Master's right there in the gearbox now. He's got an opportunity. If he can hold it here up the hill, but going to lose a little bit of ground right there. But just as you were saying, you can't make a mistake, and just overshooting turn 3 right there, and Master had a shot, and one more mistake like that, and Master could get the pass for the race lead. Still the same top 5. We're going to keep on focusing on this. 4 laps to go across the line for Brad Stover here in the Grand Prix of Lime Rock. Will he be able to hold off Master for the race win?
Stover's really struggling. You can see it on the times, seeing him on the racetrack, obviously making mistakes as well. But Luna Lona now under 4 seconds. It's just, obviously, she won't get to the win, but really struggling for speed. It's just a matter of Master getting close enough and finding the right opportunity. get past. Nearly got it done before. See if he can find a spot somewhere in the next couple of laps.
If he can close in, going into turn 1 to a point where he can force Stover into a mistake, it's right here is where you can make the pass, going up the hill and then back down the hill. You pretty much have to use the entire racetrack to work up a pass, wind up a pass, and get them. But you got to get everything right, and it's hard for these guys to hit their marks consistently throughout the entire lap. But Master is going to give it all he's got here. And like I said, one more mistake out of Brad Stover, and Christian Master is going to strike right there for the race lead. But Stover doing an excellent job here for DM Motorsports. Dylan Matthews, the owner of this team, looking to get his first ever owner's win on the channel. And Owen Miles looking to get his 5th owner's win of the year on the channel, because he's been doing a great job in the Wawa Cup Series with his 2 drivers. I'm sure he'd love to get an owner's win here in the Haas IndyCar Series. And Christian Master's going to give it all he's got for this race win. But Stover, all he's got to do is hit his marks, and he's going to get the race victory. But 2 laps to go. It's far from over. Stover's still out front. Master's still right behind, 3/10 behind. But to your point, Matt, Luna Lona definitely, or actually Stewart, you made that point of Luna Lona closing in, and these guys are definitely off pace compared to the guys behind them. And I know if Master gets around this 49, he's going to pull away. That 55 is definitely faster. Right here. Will Master have a shot? It's going to be the white flag next time by. He's going to have one more opportunity to do so. We'll have to see if he can get it done.
He's just going to have to use some of that draft now, and really he's going to have to hope that Stover maybe gets another slip up there coming out of the hairpin there, but coming down here, down the hill, coming to take the white flag. What a brilliant, if this works out though, what a brilliant strategy call by Brad Stover's team to get him that track position. Wasn't going anywhere, sitting behind Christian Master, and then makes a bold strategy call and is a lap away from it paying off.
White flag in the air here in the Grand Prix of Lime Rock, and Stover pulled away that last lap, so a bit of a cushion now for the 49. And that may have done it, but he did not have a good entry there. And Master's going to close back in again. We'll have to see. Can he close in enough to make the pass? He's got some speed here on the 49. But I just don't know if he's close enough. Up the hill they go. Master's going to try. If he can hold the speed here, he might have a shot. But it's one more corner left to go here at Lime Rock Park, and Brad Stover will be able to hold him off. First career win in the Haas IndyCar Series for Brad Stover and DM Motorsports.
Wow, how about that?
It got close at the end. But it was all down to the pit lane. And Brad Stover pulls the undercut to steal the win away from Christian Master here in the Grand Prix of Lime Rock. And that is Brad Stover's first career win in the Haas IndyCar Series. And I think his 12th career win on the channel as well. So he's racking up those W's. Hey, if Master would have won, it would have been Master's 15th win. So we had a couple of highly experienced drivers going for it there. Luna Lona gets the podium. Jay Knapp, and then Logan Williams, the top 5 here from Lime Rock Park. The only incident that we had was between Olvera and Chris Reynolds. I think Luna Lona is going to be the new points leader once we are out of here at Lime Rock Park, but Brad Stover is going to jump up in the points as well as he gets the race victory here in the Grand Prix of Lime Rock. That was an interesting race, no doubt about it. See the official standings right there. Christian Master almost had it, but could not find that same magic that Chase Harris found 3 years ago, I should say. And Brad Stover able to hold him off. And guys, it all came down to the pit lane, and just as we anticipated. But Brad Stover, they knew what they were doing. They had a fast car, and if they didn't have a fast car, I don't think that Brad Stover would have gone the victory lane. But the fact that he had the speed the Master had there, was able to get that undercut to work, and he's in victory lane here at Lime Rock Park.
And it was really, you got to credit them to both willing to do something different, and then that absolute monster of an outlap that he put in to get himself, that position, and to beat Christian Master off of that pit road race too, because he came out side by side with him, and he was just able to work the car control brilliantly there and pull away. And really just got to tip your hat to him there, because he was able to also hold off a relentless amount of pressure for the rest of the race too.
I was going to talk about the overtake itself, because it was really quite remarkable. You go around the outside, we see cars slip up on that outside. Maybe not today so much, but throughout history, really, it's a dangerous spot. And he drove around the outside, and then it was a great pass, and he deserved to win. He defended really well, and a fantastic result. And congratulations to him and to DM Motorsports. Fantastic result.
Absolutely, they did everything right here today. Christian Master, I think, had the faster car, but Brad Stover had the better strategy, and that came into effect here at Lime Rock Park. Well, it was a great race. We got one more race before we head to Indianapolis. Of course, we'll also be on the road course. That'll be Kansas 2 weeks from tomorrow for the Kansas 125K. IndyCar joining along with the Cup Series over there. And then 2 weeks after that, it's the Indianapolis road course race. We'll be halfway through the season after that one. And then the week after that, it's Indy 250 qualifying in the Indianapolis 250, the biggest race of the year coming up here. And all 26 of these drivers will attempt to qualify. Of course, Justin Zaidel failed to qualify last year. I'm sure he does not want that to happen. I'm sure you don't want that to happen again, Stuart, because he was driving for your team last year as well when that occurred. But it's going to be a very thrilling race, and that's the whole reason why the IndyCar Series exists, for that one race. And we're excited for it. Coming up here in just a little over a month. Congratulations to Brad Stover for grabbing the race victory here from Lime Rock Park. Huge thanks to Stuart and Matt for joining me here today. Micah couldn't make it. We'll try to get Micah back in the booth for Kansas 2 weeks from now. But huge thanks to you guys, and hopefully we'll have you guys in the booth for some more races coming up in the future. And here are the point standings for the Haas IndyCar Series after 6 races. Thank you guys so much for watching once again. We'll see you guys this week from Talladega in the Wall Sprint Series and then the Wall Cup Series. There should be some fun races there. And we'll see you guys 2 weeks from now in the Haas IndyCar Series from Kansas. Thank you guys so much for watching once again. Congratulations to Brad Stover, and I will see you guys later.